The massive screen in the Terran Defense Command Center flickered to life. Admiral Sarah Chung looked up from her coffee as the image of an alien creature filled the display. The being had purple skin, 4 arms, and eyes that glowed with arrogance. This was Grand Admiral Zexthil of the Vulcarian Empire. People of the galaxy, the alien spoke in perfect universal standard. Today marks a great day. The Vulcarian Empire declares total war against the human pest that infects our beautiful universe. Chun's officers gasped around her. Some dropped their datapads. Others stared in shock at the screen. The alien continued speaking as if announcing the weather. For too long, we have allowed these primitive creatures to pollute space with their presence. Humans are weak. Humans are stupid. They build ugly ships and call themselves civilized. This ends today. Behind Zexthil, the camera showed glimpses of his Warfleet. 50,000 ships floated in perfect formation. Each vessel was a work of art. Their hulls gleamed like polished jewels. Elegant curves flowed from bow to stern. Weapon arrays sparkled with deadly beauty. Behold our magnificent fleet. Zexthil spread his 4 arms wide. These ships represent the peak of military technology. Each one can destroy a planet. Together, they are unstoppable. The humans have nothing that can stand against us. Dr. Marcus Webb, sitting next to Chun, made a small noise. It might have been a cough. Chun glanced at him and saw the hint of a smile on his face. Webb ran something called Prometheus Industries, but most people did not know what his division really did. We will begin our attack on the human home system in 7 days, Zexthil declared. I advise all other species to stay away from human space. We do not want innocent beings hurt by the debris from human ships. The transmission ended. The command center erupted in panic. Officers shouted orders. Communications specialists tried to contact the fleet. Defense planners pulled up battle scenarios on their screens. Admiral, Major Roberts ran up to Chun. What are our orders? Should we evacuate the outer colonies? Chen held up her hand for silence. The room gradually quieted. She looked at the now dark screen where Zexthil had been moments before. Dr. Webb, she said calmly. How many ships did you say they have? 50,347, Webb replied without looking at any notes. All beautiful vessels. The Vulcarians always did have excellent taste in design. And how many ships do we have ready for combat? 212, Admiral Rodriguez answered from across the room. But Admiral, their ships are clearly superior to ours. Look at our fleet compared to theirs. Rodriguez activated a wall display. On the left side appeared images of human warships. They looked rough and practical. Gray metal hulls with visible weapon mounts. Thick armor plating covered vital systems. The ships seemed built for function, not beauty. On the right side showed the Vulcarian vessels from the broadcast. The difference was shocking. Where human ships looked like flying toolboxes, the alien craft appeared like works of art. Sir, Lieutenant Commander Park spoke up nervously. The odds are not good. They outnumber us 250 to 1. And their technology appears far advanced beyond ours. Chun nodded slowly. She walked to her command chair and sat down. The weight of command pressed on her shoulders. Around her, officers waited for orders that could decide humanity's fate. Dr. Webb, she said, I think now would be a good time to contact your people. Webb stood up and straightened his jacket. Already done, Admiral. My team has been preparing for this day for a very long time. Preparing how? Major Roberts asked. What can we possibly do against that kind of firepower? Webb walked to his own workstation and began typing. On his screen appeared what looked like shipping records. Lists of parts, delivery schedules, and construction contracts filled the display. Tell me, Major, Webb said without looking away from his screen. What do you know about the Valkyrian military procurement process? Their what? How they buy and build their ships, Webb explained patiently. You see, the Valkyrians are very proud beings. They consider themselves artists and philosophers. They design beautiful things but find the actual work of building them beneath their dignity. Chun watched Webb work. She had known this man for 15 years. He never spoke without purpose. So they hire other species to do the construction work, Webb continued. They provide the designs and oversee the process. But they do not dirty their hands with manual labor. What does that have to do with anything? Rodriguez demanded. They still have 50,000 ships about to attack us. Webb finally turned around. His smile was not pleasant. General, who do you think they hired to build those 50,000 beautiful ships? The room fell silent. Chun felt a cold understanding creep up her spine. The construction contracts are all here. Webb tapped his screen. 20 years of detailed records. Every ship in their fleet was built in human shipyards by human workers using human tools and human expertise. But they designed them, Park protested weakly. They provided the overall concepts. Yes, Webb agreed. Beautiful concepts, I must admit. But humans did all the real engineering work. We solved the technical problems. We figured out how to make their pretty designs actually function. We installed all the computers, all the weapon systems, all the life support equipment. The implications hit the room like a physical blow. Chun stood up slowly. Dr. Webb, are you telling me that the Valkyrian fleet attacking us was built by humans? Every bolt, every circuit, every line of computer code, Webb confirmed. The Valkyrians watched and approved, but humans did the work. And humans, as you know, are very thorough in our work. Admiral Rodriguez stared at Webb. What exactly are you saying? Webb's smile grew wider. I am saying, Admiral, that perhaps this war will not go quite the way Grand Admiral Zextel expects. Outside the command center, space remained peaceful. The Valkyrian fleet was still 7 days away. But in the depths of Prometheus Industries, machines were already waking up. Systems that had slept for 20 years were beginning to stir. And across the galaxy, in the heart of every beautiful Valkyrian warship, tiny human-built computers were receiving their first signals from home in a very long time. The war was about to begin. But perhaps not the war anyone expected. 20 years ago, Dr. Marcus Webb had been a young engineer fresh out of university. He remembered the day the Valkyrians first contacted Earth. Like it was yesterday, the aliens had arrived in ships so beautiful, they made human vessels look like garbage trucks. Their delegation wore flowing robes and spoke in musical voices. They offered humanity a great opportunity. We need help, Ambassador Veltar had explained to the human representatives. The Valkyrian Empire requires many new ships for our expanding territories. We have wonderful designs, but we lack the industrial capacity to build them all. The alien diplomat had gestured elegantly with his forearms. Your species shows promise in manufacturing. We offer you the chance to learn from our superior technology. You will build our ships according to our specifications, and in return, we will pay you fairly and teach you proper engineering. Webb had been part of the human engineering team assigned to the first project. He still remembered walking into the Valkyrian Design Center and seeing the blueprints for their Dreadnought-class warship. The vessel was stunning. Every line flowed with artistic grace, but as Webb studied the designs more closely, he found problems. Big problems. Sir, he had said to his supervisor, Chief Engineer Martinez, these power distribution networks have serious flaws. If one conduit fails, the whole system goes down. Martinez looked at the Valkyrian overseer, a proud being named Zextel, who was much younger then. Can we suggest improvements? Improvements? Zextel had laughed. Humans suggesting improvements to Valkyrian engineering? That is amusing. Just build what we have designed. But Martinez was a smart man. He called a private meeting with his human team that night. Listen carefully, he told them. The aliens think we are stupid. They want us to build ships with fatal weaknesses. We cannot refuse their contracts, but we can be creative in how we follow them. What do you mean? Young Webb had asked. We will build exactly what they ask for, Martinez smiled. But we will also add safety systems they did not specifically forbid. After all, we want their beautiful ships to work properly, do we not? And so began 20 years of the most complex construction project in human history. The Valkyrians provided designs. Humans built the ships. But humans also made thousands of small modifications. When the power distribution system had a flaw, humans added backup circuits. When the computer networks lacked security, humans installed better protection. When the weapon systems had targeting problems, humans created more accurate sensors. The Valkyrians never noticed. They saw only that their ships worked perfectly and looked exactly as designed. They praised human craftsmanship while secretly believing humans were too primitive to truly understand what they were building. Now, in the present day, Webb stood in the hidden levels beneath Prometheus Industries. His team worked at dozens of computer stations. The screens showed technical diagrams, code sequences, and system maps. Status report. Webb called out. All Valkyrian fleet vessels are responding to ping tests, reported. Dr. Sarah Kim. The maintenance cores are fully active and awaiting orders. What about the new security protocols they installed last year? Asked Webb. Already bypassed, replied Engineer Thompson. They used the security templates we gave them 5 years ago. We kept the master keys. Webb nodded and walked to the main display screen. It showed a map of local space with thousands of red dots moving toward Earth. Each dot represented a Valkyrian warship. Each ship carried weapons that could destroy cities. Each vessel had been built by human hands. Sir, Kim called out. Admiral Chun is requesting an update on Project Prometheus. Webb picked up his communicator. Admiral, all systems are green. We are ready to proceed on your command. Understood. What about the timeline? The Valkyrian fleet will reach Jupiter in 4 days. Mars orbit in 6 days. Earth orbit in 7 days. We can activate the protocols at any time. No, Chun's voice was firm. We wait until they are committed to the attack. I want them close enough to see Earth before we reveal our hand. Webb understood. This was not just about winning a battle. This was about sending a message to the galaxy dot above ground. Earth appeared to be in panic mode. News broadcasts showed families evacuating from major cities. The military called up reserves and prepared defensive positions. Transport ships carried civilians to underground bunkers, but in secret facilities around the world. Other preparations were underway. At the Luna shipyards. Human technicians made final adjustments to the fleet. The ships looked crude compared to Valkyrian vessels, but appearances were deceiving. Human warships were built for war, not beauty. Load all projectiles with armor-piercing cores, ordered Fleet Admiral Rodriguez. I want maximum penetration power. Sir, our intelligence suggests Valkyrian shields can stop our conventional weapons, reported his aide. Rodriguez smiled grimly. That is what they think. Dr. Webb's people have provided us with some interesting data about Valkyrian shield frequencies. At space stations throughout the solar system, defense platforms activated. Massive railguns emerged from hidden compartments. Missile batteries loaded their tubes. Fighter squadrons prepared for launch. On the surface of Mars, mining equipment was hastily converted into weapons. Civilian cargo haulers were fitted with military hardware. Every human vessel that could mount a weapon was being prepared for battle. The Valkyrian fleet continued its approach, maintaining perfect formation. Their communications were full of confidence and arrogance. The humans scatter like insects, Admiral Zexthal broadcast to his fleet. Our sensors detect their pathetic preparations. They are mounting weapons on mining ships. How desperate they have become. His officers laughed at human foolishness. The Valkyrian fleet was a work of art in motion. 50,000 ships moving in harmony toward their target. But deep in the engineering sections of every Valkyrian vessel, small devices were quietly activating. These maintenance cores had operated faithfully for 20 years, managing routine ship functions and monitoring system performance. The Valkyrians had long ago stopped noticing them. The cores were just part of the ship's basic equipment, like lights or air recycling. They performed their duties without fuss and never caused problems. What the Valkyrians did not know was that every maintenance core contained a complete secondary computer system. These hidden processors had administrative access to every ship function. They could control engines, weapons, life support, navigation, and communications. And all of them were receiving signals from Earth. Webb checked his chronometer. 4 days until the aliens reached Jupiter. 4 days until humanity's greatest gamble began. He thought about young Engineer Thompson working on the first Valkyrian dreadnought 20 years ago. The aliens had treated him like a barely trained technician. They had watched him install their maintenance core and never asked what it really did. After all, why would superior beings need to understand the work of primitive humans? Soon they would learn the answer to that question. The first shots of the war rang out near Jupiter's largest moon. Captain Lisa Martinez watched from the bridge of her destroyer as Valkyrian ships emerged from hyperspace. Their elegant forms glittered in the distant sunlight like deadly jewels. 12 Valkyrian cruisers, Captain, reported her tactical officer. They are moving to engage us. Martinez commanded a small squadron of human ships. 8 destroyers and 4 frigates against 12 alien cruisers. The odds were not good, but this was not about winning. This was about gathering information. All ships begin evasive maneuvers, she ordered. Remember, we are not here to destroy them. We need them to shoot at us. The Valkyrian formation moved with perfect precision. Their ships flowed through space like a school of fish, turning and adjusting course as one unit. When they opened fire, their weapons created beautiful streams of energy that lit up the darkness. Incoming fire, called the weapons officer. Energy torpedoes, multiple targets. Martinez's ship shook as near misses exploded around them. The Valkyrian weapons were powerful, but her pilot was skilled. The human destroyer danced between the energy blasts, rolling and diving to avoid destruction. Tactical, I need detailed scans of their weapons, Martinez ordered. Everything? Power output, frequency, rate of fire. Already on it, Captain. Recording all data. The human ships scattered, each one drawing fire from different Valkyrian vessels. To outside observers, it looked like a desperate attempt to survive. The human ships appeared outmatched, running from superior firepower. But on each human vessel, advanced sensors were working overtime. Every weapon blast was analyzed. Every shield flicker was recorded. Every engine signature was cataloged and transmitted back to Earth. Admiral Zexthal watched the battle from his flagship. Still 3 days away from Jupiter, his tactical display showed human ships fleeing from his advance forces. Pathetic, he said to his officers. Look how they run. Their crewed ships cannot even stand and fight properly. Sir, should we order our forces to pursue? Asked his aide. No, let them escape. They will only spread word of our power. Fear is a useful weapon. But the humans were not running in fear. They were conducting the most complex intelligence operation in military history. Every engagement provided new data about Valkyrian capabilities. Captain Rodriguez of the frigate Defiant found himself facing 2 Valkyrian cruisers alone. His ship was heavily outgunned, but he had his orders. "Bring us in close," he commanded. "I want to get a good scan of their hull composition." "Sir, that will put us in range of their main batteries," warned his weapons officer. "I know. Do it anyway." The Defiant accelerated toward the alien ships, its sensors working at maximum power. Valkyrian fire reached out to stop the approaching human vessel, but Rodriguez had trained for this moment. His ship twisted through the barrage like a fighter craft. For 30 seconds, the Defiant flew directly alongside a Valkyrian cruiser. Its sensors penetrated the alien ship's hull, mapping internal systems and recording structural details. Then Rodriguez pulled away, his ship trailing atmosphere from multiple hits. "Damage report," he called. "Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. Engine 3 is offline. But we got the scan, sir. Complete internal layout of a Valkyrian cruiser." The data was transmitted to Earth immediately. Dr. Webb's team received detailed information about Valkyrian ship construction, power systems, and defensive capabilities. Most importantly, they confirmed that human-built maintenance cores were active and responding throughout the alien vessel. Over the next 2 days, similar encounters happened throughout the outer solar system. Human ships engaged small Valkyrian formations, always retreating after brief fights. Each battle provided more intelligence while reinforcing the impression of human weakness. On Earth, news broadcasts showed the running battles with mounting panic. Military analysts spoke grimly about humanity's chances. "Our fleet is being driven back on all fronts," reported the evening news. "The Valkyrian forces have superior technology and overwhelming numbers. Earth Defense Command refuses to comment on our defensive strategy." But in the Prometheus Industries Command Center, Webb's team worked with growing excitement. Each engagement provided more proof that their plan would work. "Sir, we have confirmed access to all major Valkyrian ship classes," reported Dr. Kim. "Cruisers, destroyers, dreadnoughts, even their flagship. Every maintenance core is responding to our signals." "What about their weapon systems?" asked Webb. "Full administrative access confirmed. We can control targeting computers, fire control systems, and ammunition feeds. Their weapons will fire on whatever targets we select." Webb nodded and checked the tactical display. The main Valkyrian fleet was approaching Mars orbit. Admiral Chun had positioned the human fleet for what appeared to be a last desperate defense of the inner solar system. To the galaxy, watching these events, humanity seemed doomed. The elegant Valkyrian armada swept aside all resistance with casual ease. Their formations never wavered. Their ships suffered minimal damage, while destroying or driving off every human vessel they encountered. Alien news networks praised Valkyrian tactical superiority. Military experts from dozens of species analyzed the battles and concluded that humanity would fall within hours of the main engagement. "The humans fight with desperation, but lack any real strategy," commented one Andromedian analyst. "Their ships are crude and their tactics primitive. The Valkyrians are clearly the superior military force." On his flagship, Admiral Zexthol reviewed battle reports with satisfaction. His forces had engaged human ships 43 times without losing a single vessel. The humans had managed to damage several Valkyrian ships, but none seriously. "Sir, we are approaching Mars orbit," reported his navigation officer. "Earth Defense Command is requesting a final negotiation." Zexthol laughed. "After all this time, they want to surrender. How predictable. Should we accept their request?" "Of course. I want to hear them beg for mercy before we destroy their pathetic planet." But Admiral Chun had no intention of begging. When the communication channel opened, She appeared calm and professional on Zexthul's screen. "Admiral Chun of Earth Defense Command," she said. "I wanted to personally thank you for this opportunity." "Opportunity?" Zexthul was confused. "You are about to be destroyed. What opportunity?" Chun smiled. "The opportunity to field test our new weapon system. You see, Admiral, we needed to make sure our equipment would work properly under combat conditions." "What are you talking about, human?" "Tell me, Admiral, how well do you know the ships in your fleet?" The question seemed strange to Zexthul. "I know them perfectly. They are masterworks of Valkyrian engineering." "Engineering, yes. But who built them?" For the first time, doubt crept into Zexthul's voice. "They were constructed under our supervision by various species, including humans. But we provided all the designs and oversight." Chun's smile grew wider. "Yes, you did provide oversight. Very thorough oversight. You watched everything we did. Of course, we had to ensure quality. But did you understand everything you watched?" The question hung in space between them like a loaded weapon. Admiral Zexthul stared at the human on his screen. Something in Admiral Chun's tone made his skin crawl. The confidence in her voice did not match her desperate situation. "Human, you speak in riddles," he said. "Your fleet is broken. Your planet is defenseless. What game do you think you are playing?" "No game, Admiral. I am simply curious about your ships. You have such a beautiful fleet. Tell me, do you remember the construction process?" Around Zexthul, his bridge officers looked puzzled. They had expected begging or desperate threats. Instead, this human was asking about shipbuilding. "Of course I remember," Zexthul replied impatiently. "I was personally involved in the oversight. Your human workers were adequate, though they asked many unnecessary questions." "What kind of questions?" Chun asked. "Technical details that were above their understanding. They wanted to know about power flow, computer networks, maintenance protocols. We explained what they needed to know to do their jobs." Dr. Webb stepped into view beside Admiral Chun. Zexthul recognized him immediately. This was the same human engineer who had worked on his flagship 20 years ago. "Admiral Zexthul," Webb said politely. "I remember our conversations very clearly. You were very patient with our primitive questions." "Webb," Zexthul's voice carried a hint of warmth. "Yes, I remember you. You were one of the better human workers. Your craftsmanship on my ship was excellent." "Thank you, sir. I took great pride in that work. In fact, I took great pride in all the work my people did for your fleet." Something about Webb's emphasis on the word all made Zexthul uncomfortable. "What are you saying?" Webb activated a display screen beside him. Technical diagrams appeared, showing the internal structure of a Valkyrian dreadnought. "Do you see this component here?" Webb pointed to a small device nestled deep in the ship's core. "This is what we call the maintenance core. You remember authorizing its installation?" "Yes, of course." "Standard equipment for monitoring ship functions." "Standard, indeed. We installed one in every ship we built. 50,347 ships total." Webb's finger traced connections from the maintenance core to other ship systems. "These cores are very sophisticated. They monitor everything: engine performance, weapon status, life support functions, navigation systems. Everything." Zexthul was growing more uncomfortable. "Yes, you explained this during construction. Routine monitoring equipment. But did we explain that monitoring equipment needs administrative access to function properly?" "Administrative access?" One of Zexthul's officers spoke up. "What does that mean?" Webb smiled pleasantly. "It means the maintenance cores can not only monitor ship systems, but also control them. After all, how can you maintain something you cannot access?" The bridge fell silent. Zexthel felt ice forming in his stomach. You are saying these devices can control our ships? Oh, much more than that, Webb replied cheerfully. They are essentially secondary command centers, with full authority over all ship functions. Admiral Chun stepped forward again. The real question, Admiral, is who controls the maintenance cores? Before Zexthel could respond, Chun spoke clearly. Computer, execute Prometheus protocol. Authorization, Web 77 Alpha. For a moment, nothing happened. Then chaos erupted across the Valkyrian fleet. On the bridge of the dreadnought Stella Pride, alarms began screaming. The ship's navigation computer suddenly changed course, turning directly toward another Valkyrian vessel. What is happening? Demanded Captain Velkin. Why are we turning? Sir, the navigation system is not responding to our commands, reported the helm officer. Something else is controlling it. Similar scenes played out across the entire fleet. Weapons systems activated without orders, targeting other Valkyrian ships. Engine controls locked, sending vessels on collision courses. Shield generators began cycling on and off randomly. On Zexthel's flagship, the lights flickered and went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing the bridge in red light. Engineering report. Zexthel screamed into his communicator. Sir, we have lost control of all primary systems. The computers are not accepting our commands. It appears that something else has administrative control. Through the viewports, Zexthel watched his magnificent fleet tear itself apart. The Divine Sword fired its main batteries into the celestial wings, destroying the smaller ship instantly. 3 destroyers collided with each other as their navigation systems failed simultaneously. This is impossible. Zexthel raged. These are our ships. Webb's image on the communication screen shook his head sadly. No, Admiral. These are ships you paid for, ships you designed, ships you supervised. But they were built by human hands using human tools and human expertise. But we watched everything you did. Yes, you watched very carefully. But you never understood what you were watching. You saw us install standard components and accepted our explanations without question. Dr. Webb called up more technical diagrams. Every power distribution network has a master control mode. Human built. Every computer system has administrative access protocols. Human designed. Every weapon system has a fire control override. Human installed. The magnitude of the deception was staggering. For 20 years, the Valkyrians had flown ships that were essentially remote, controlled by humanity. You knew this would happen, Zexthel accused. You planned this from the beginning. Planned? Chun rejoined the conversation. Admiral, we hoped it would never come to this. We built those safety systems as insurance, nothing more. If you had remained peaceful, they would never have been activated. Around the fleet, Valkyrian ships continued to malfunction. Some vessels found their weapons permanently locked onto their own allies. Others lost life support as their air recycling systems shut down. A few lucky ships retained basic functions, but could no longer move or communicate. Sir, Zexthel's communication officer called out. I am receiving surrender requests from throughout the fleet. Most of our ships are completely disabled. Surrender? Zexthel could barely speak the word. Surrender to whom? To the humans, sir. On the communication screen, Admiral Chun waited patiently for Zexthel to absorb what had happened. Your fleet is not destroyed, she said finally. Your crews are mostly safe. But your ships will no longer obey you. They answer to us now. This is a violation of every tritium law, Zexthel protested weakly. Actually, it is not, Dr. Webb replied. We built exactly what you asked for. Every ship meets your original specifications perfectly. You never asked us to exclude remote access capabilities, because we did not know such capabilities existed. Perhaps you should have asked more questions. Your species is supposed to be superior to ours. Surely you should have understood the technology you were commissioning. The brutal logic was inescapable. The Valkyrians had hired humans to build their fleet while treating humans as primitive laborers. They had never imagined that the workers might be more clever than their supervisors. What do you want? Zexthel asked finally. Chun's expression grew serious. Immediate withdrawal of all Valkyrian forces from human space. Recognition of human territorial sovereignty. And most importantly, a formal apology to the families of the humans who died in your unprovoked attack. And if we refuse? Webb answered that question. Then you can try to go home in escape pods. Of course, that is a very long journey. Most of your crews would not survive it. Zexthel looked around his darkened bridge. His proud fleet was scattered and helpless. His mighty warships had become floating prisons for their own crews. I need to contact the Valkyrian High Command, he said. Of course, Chun agreed. But, Admiral? You might want to ask them an important question. What question? Chun's smile was cold as space itself. Ask them how many ships in the Valkyrian home fleet were also built by humans. 3 weeks after the battle, Admiral Zexthel stood in the council chamber of the Galactic Assembly. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from hundreds of species. They had all come to hear his testimony about what the humans had done. The Valkyrian admiral looked much older than he had during his confident war declaration. His forearms hung limp at his sides. His once proud uniform was wrinkled and stained. I stand before this assembly to confirm the reports you have all received, he began. The human species has demonstrated military capabilities far beyond what we believed possible. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Many representatives had seen the reports but found them difficult to believe. The human fleet numbered only 200 ships. My fleet numbered 50,000. Yet in a matter of minutes, my entire armada was rendered completely helpless. Chancellor Mordak of the Andromedan Republic leaned forward. Admiral, your reports claim that the humans somehow took control of your ships. How is this possible? Zexthel's voice was barely above a whisper. Because humans built our ships. Every single one of them. For 20 years. We hired human workers to construct our fleet while believing we were dealing with a primitive species. But you supervised the construction, protested Ambassador Kalthara of the Centauri Alliance. Your own engineers oversaw the work. We supervised what we thought we understood, Zexthel replied bitterly. The humans installed thousands of systems we did not recognize. When we asked about them, they gave explanations that seemed reasonable. We never imagined they were lying. Senator Vexlor from the Rigel Confederation stood up. Are you saying that humans deliberately sabotaged your ships? Not sabotaged. Enhanced. Every ship functions exactly as designed. But the humans added capabilities they never told us about. Our ships obey their commands as readily as ours. The chamber erupted in worried conversations. Representatives huddled together, discussing the implications of what they had heard. On Earth, Admiral Chun watched the proceedings on a live broadcast. She sat in her office with Dr. Webb, both of them drinking coffee and reviewing reports. The Centauri ambassador looks nervous, Webb observed. She should be. How many Centauri ships did we build? Webb checked his tablet. About 12,000 over the past 15 years. All major classes. Their entire frontier fleet. Chun nodded and turned to another report. What about the Andromedans? 8,000 ships. Including their new super dreadnoughts that they are so proud of. The door to Chun's office opened and President Martinez entered. She looked tired but satisfied. The emergency session of the UN Security Council just ended, Martinez reported. The vote was unanimous. We are authorizing the creation of the Terran Technological Review Board. Excellent. Chun replied. Webb, is your team ready to begin operations? We have been ready for years. Every ship built by human hands has complete technical documentation. Every system has our oversight protocols embedded. We can activate or deactivate any vessel at will. President Martinez sat down heavily. I still cannot believe we managed to keep this secret for 20 years. The secret kept itself, Webb explained. Every alien species believed they were hiring primitive human workers. They never asked the right questions because they never imagined we were capable of deception on this scale. Back in the Galactic Assembly, Chancellor Mordak was questioning Zexthol about human military strength. Admiral,